Hey everyone, my name is Made Ardiwidanarta with student number 24055311081. And in this video, I will explain about ferrous metals and alloys, production, general properties, and application. In this video, I will explain about sheet steel for automobiles, clients and containers, plates for boilers, ships and bridges, structural members such as I-beams, bar products, axles, crankshaft, and railroad rails, tools, dies and molds, rods and wire for fasteners such as bolts, rivets, nuts, and staples. First is production of iron and steel. The three basic materials used in iron and steel making are iron ore, limestone, and coke. First, we have iron ore. After it is mined, the ore is crushed into the fine particles. That impurities are removed by various means, and the ore is formed into pellets, balls, or briquettes using water and various binders. Iron ore is the main raw material for producing iron and steel. It contains iron oxides such as hematite and magnetite. In the blast furnace, iron ore is melted and reduced to pure iron. The example is used to make car frames, bridges, and household appliances. Next, we have limestone. The function of limestone is to remove impurities from the molten iron. The limestone reacts chemically with impurities, acting like a flux that causes the impurities to melt at a low temperature. Limestone is mainly calcium carbonate. It acts as a flux in the furnace, combining with impurities to form slag. The example is used in cement, agriculture, and construction materials. Next, we have coke. Coke is obtained from special grades of bituminous coal that are heated in vertical ovens to temperatures of up to 1150 degrees Celsius, and then cooled with water in quenching power. Coke is a carbon-rich fuel made by heating coal without air. It provides heat and acts as a reducing agent to extract iron from iron ore. The example is essential for producing steel used in machines, vehicles, and construction. Next, we have iron making. The three raw materials described previously are dumped into the top of a blast furnace that in the figure 5.1, an operation called charging the furnace. The iron making is the first step in producing steel. It involves converting iron ore into molten iron inside a blast furnace, and the main materials used are iron ore, coke, and limestone. Hot air is blown into the furnace, causing chemical reaction that reduce iron oxide to molten iron. As you can see in figure 5.1, there is a furnace that the three raw materials described previously are dumped into the top of a blast furnace. Next, we have steel making. Steel was first produced in China and Japan. The steel-making process is essentially one of refining the pig iron by reducing the percentage of manganese, silicon, carbon, and other elements by controlling the composition of the output through the addition of various elements. Electric furnace is the source of heat. In this furnace is a continuous electric arc that is formed between the electrodes and the charged metal. temperatures as high as 1925 degrees Celsius are generated in this type of furnace. Basic oxygen furnace is the fastest and by far the most common steel-making furnace. And vacuum furnace is the steel also may be melted in induction furnace from which the air has been removed, similar to the one shown in figure 5.2c. Next, we have casting of ingots. Depending on the amount of gas evolved during solidification, three types of steel ingots can be produced: kiln, semi-kiln, and ring. Kiln steel is a fully deoxidized steel. That is, oxygen is removed and the associated porosity is thus eliminated. Semi-kiln steel is a partially deoxidized steel. It contains some porosity, but it has little or no pipe. And then the rim steel. In a rim steel, which generally has a low carbon content, less than 0.15%, the evolved gas are only partially killed or controlled by addition of other elements such as aluminium. Next, we have continuous casting. The inefficiencies and the problem involved in making steels in the traditional form of ingots are alleviated by the continuous casting process, which produce higher quality steels at reduced cost. Continuous casting is a process where molten metal, usually steel, is solidified directly into semi-finished shapes such as slabs, billets, or blocks. It replaces traditional ingot casting and makes production faster, cheaper, and with better quality. The example is in modern steel plants, molten steel from the furnace is poured into a continuous casting machine to produce steel slabs that are later rolled into car bodies, ship plates, or building beams. These are the higher quality steels at reduced cost, and we can see in this figure. Next, we have carbon and alloy steels. Steels containing significant amounts of alloying elements are called alloy steels. They usually are made with more care than are carbon steels. Carbon and alloy steels are among the most commonly used metals and have a wide variety of composition, processing options, and application, as we can see in table 5.1. First, we have effects of various elements in steels. Various elements are added to steels in order to impart properties such as hardenability, strength, hardness, toughness, wear resistance, workability, weldability, and machinability. These elements are listed below with summaries of their beneficial and detrimental effects. Next is residual elements in steels. There are antimony and arsenic cause temper embrittlement, hydrogen severely embrittle steels, nitrogen improve strength, hardness, and machinability. Nitrogen can increase or decrease strength, ductility, and toughness depending on the presence of the other elements. Oxygen slightly increase the strength of rim steel, and tin cause hot shortness and temper embrittlement. Designations of four steels. Typical letter designations are as follows. Next, we have alloy steels. Alloy steels are steels that contain additional elements such as chromium, nickel, molybdenum, or vanadium to improve strength, toughness, hardness, or corrosion resistance. They perform better than plain carbon steels in demanding conditions. Example is chromium molybdenum steel is used for automobile gears and engine parts because it is strong and heat resistant. Nickel chromium steel is used for aircraft parts and high strength tools. Next we have high strength low alloy steels. High strength low alloy steels contain small amounts of alloying elements like vanadium, niobium, or titanium. They have higher strength and toughness than carbon steels while remaining light and weldable. Commonly used where strength and weight reduction are important. The example is high strength low alloy steels is used in automobile frames, bridge, and oil pipelines because it is strong, durable, and corrosion resistant. As you can see in table 5.3, there are mechanical properties of selected advanced high-strength steels. And table 5.4, there are AISI designations for high-strength sheet steel. Next is the ultimate tensile strength in MPa. The types of steel are BH, back hardenable, high strength low alloy, dual phase, transformation induced plasticity, twinning induced plasticity, and martensitic complex phase. Martensitic and CP complex phase. Next is ultra high strength steels. There are dual phase steels are processed specially to have a mixed ferrite and martensite structure. Strip steels consist of a ferrite bainite matrix and 5 until 20% retained austenite. Whip steels are austenitic and have high manganese content. They're 17 until 20%. And then complex phase grades are very fine grained microstructures of ferrite and high volume fraction of hard phase. Next is stainless steels. There are called stainless steels because in the presence of oxygen, they develop a thin, hard, and adherent film of chromium oxide that protects the metal from corrosion. The protective film builds up again in the event that the surface is scratched. In addition to chromium, other alloying elements in stainless steels typically are nickel, molybdenum, copper, titanium, silicon, manganese, columbium, aluminium, nitrogen, and sulfur. Austenitic has 200 and 300 series, ferritic 400 series, martensitic 400 and 500 series, precipitation hardening or pH duplex structure. The example is used in kitchen sinks, cutlery, surgical instruments, and food processing equipment because they do not rust and are easy to clean. Next is tool and die steels. Tool and die steels are specially alloyed steels in table 5.6 and 5.7, designed for high strength, impact toughness, and wear resistance at room and elevated temperatures. In high-speed steels are the most highly alloyed two-line die steels, first developed in the early 90s. 19th. They maintain their hardness and strength at elevated operating temperatures. And die steels is hot work steels are designed for use at elevated temperatures. They have high toughness as well as high resistance to wear and cracking. As you can see in table 5.6, there are basic types of tool and die steels. And table 5.7, there are processing and service characteristic of common tool and die steels. And table 5.8, the typical tool and die materials for metalworking process. Well, that's all from me. Thank you for watching.